Hey everyone, who's all here? Say hey if you're in the chat. MuBot will give you some points. We'll throw out a bunch of points today. Getting everything going on the Discord, getting people started in the class. We got some office hours right now. We'll re-wake up MuBot so he can wake back up. He sometimes crashes the universe behind us. But I saw we had 2 people watching, so it might be me and someone else. Who all is here right now? Let's take a look. Dylan, great to see you. I'm back. Can't figure out how to get the onto the Discord. Can't find the verification email. Oh, let's put it in the chat right here. So you should be able to see this. And if you're a UTK student, we can verify you. So I've just put the Discord. MuBot should tell us. So that link should work right there, Dylan. I would suggest downloading the Discord app. So you should see the link there in the chat in a moment. I just ate some Snickers, so I'm like, there's a theory that I'm allergic to nuts. Had bite-sized Snickers and basically Cheez-Its. Lunch of champions. So, Dylan, does that link right there bring you to it? If not, I would suggest downloading the Discord app. So download the Discord app. I've got all the timestamps here for today. Yeah, so download the Discord app. Let me know if you're having issues. I would download the Discord app, and then I would get to going, hey, Brian. Oh, Brianna, good to see you here. Let's throw some points. Awesome. Great to see you here, Brianna. Before work. Yeah, chill out. If you got questions, ask away. Good to see you here. We're just chilling out at the moment. It's a slow start of the semester, but that's always good. You know, it's kind of good. Hey, less questions means people are cruising right now. But don't ask us questions if you had it. Watch this. Wait for this. Ready? Oh my gosh. We got a thing now. I could make it scroll too if we really wanted. Should we put it over here? Wait. Try to remember how to make things scroll. It's under filters. Add a filter. Scroll. Scroll. Okay, there we go. We'll slow it down. Okay, there we go. And let's go here. Let's edit the text. Let's go here to. This might be pretty. This might be a good idea. Properties. Welcome to the stream. There we go. Oh, look at that. Now we got a scrolling text and we need to go over here and do this. Okay. So there we go. Brian is currently taking questions. Ask away. Put it up here at the top. Downloading the app in like 2 seconds. Awesome. Yeah, download the app. Let us know. I'm just taking some questions right here. Do the more MuBucks you have equate to more credit? They do, Zach. Great question right there, Zach. Let's throw out some more MuBucks to you right there. More MuBucks, more extra credit, better stat to a 1 experience. So you got 20 MuBucks right there. You can check your MuBucks at any time. Just kind of talking about the class, just hanging out right now. People want to work on assignments or talk over assignments, just let me know. Your office hours, so you get to say, hey, Brian, let's talk about this. Let's just do this right here. And then we can work on some stuff, checking out those points. There you go. So the way it works is, in such a great question, I'll show you MuBot's brain. So we want to go over here to the currency system. And here's the point scaling. I think it'll show decently behind me. So let's go to the main screen, check out some points. So let's go over here and talk about like MuBot point scaling. I'm going to take a timestamp right here and let's go MuBucks. What are they good for? MuBucks. What are they good for? The answer is not absolutely nothing. So here is the brain. This is the secret that no one should know about the universe. Here's that's Brand asked the same question. Oh, the original question. Here is the point scaling. We have some secret levels. We have what we call New Game Plus. So these are the kind of ridiculous levels. It goes up to 1.2. It's because of the way I create things that this million tier level point thing is over here. Maybe if I recreate it, we could probably do that. You know, it's driving me crazy. So let's go here to edit this. Let's grab this. Let's copy it. And let's make it 1,000,001. So we'll rename this, and we'll go here 1, 1, 2. It's 1,000,000, right? There's 1,000,000. 1, 2, and there we go. Okay. So now, it's mad. It's saying you can't do that. Over 9,000 and 1 level. New level. So now it should be down here on the bottom, and we're going to go ahead and remove this. And now everything's in order. Woo! We like seeing things in order right here. So perfectly balanced as everything should be. Good to see you here, Ashton. Grabbing those points. Let's throw out some more points. So this right here is the crazy tier list of levels we have. Some of the later levels are just meme levels. We just call this like New Game Plus. If you play video games, you know what I'm talking about. Like You really only need to beat the video game. You beat the video game when you get to right here, and then this is New Game Plus, New Game Plus Plus, New Game Plus Plus, and this is dedicating your life to beating Dark Souls every day. So, of course, the people who get here usually are just returning students who we re-invite or we just give a bunch of points to. So I like making students kind of like the meme level. So you'll advance through these levels. You already have, I should probably space these out a little bit more. I was thinking about that and I was like, well, the semester's already started. Next semester updates. I try to make it so that you kind of get addicted to getting levels. But you can see you get them pretty quickly at the start. But it's going to get harder as the semester goes along, right? So if you're at 1,000 points right now, you're kind of 2-3% away along to where you need to get after just like a class. Like, I'm getting there. Maybe I should evenly space it. What do people think? Any thoughts on this? Like, I'm always trying to gamify my learning. Should it be evenly spaced? Should it be like Pokemon Go where you get levels quickly and then they're spaced further out? Should there be fewer levels? Should there be more levels? Should there be New Game Plus levels? I don't know. We need research on this. We need data to back what we think, but it's worked pretty well and people react to it pretty well and have fun with it. So these are the levels. Any other questions about this or anything else you want to know about the class or any of the specifics? But this is how MuBot tracks you and you get your first level like super quick. Like just by joining in, you get a level. But then you have to chat a little bit, and as much as I throw out points, you can get them all pretty quickly. Like my goal is by the end of the semester, if you're attending, you'll get here. Even if you're not you don't have to answer everything. If you're here, if you're interacting, you don't have to go to every office hours. Going to office hours is great. But if you're live and you're interacting, you'll get them. There's definitely be New Game Plus levels. I agree right there with Brianna. It's that cool, like, people really, you'd be shocked. A lot of people really like having that status symbol at the end of the semester. We have hamster tier now. So pint hype level, hamster tier, rockstar tier. Because I called a student a rockstar when they got to this level. I was like, let's make a level for you. So that came about last semester when I called a student rockstar. Pint hype is from winter mini term, and also hamster tier levels from winter mini term. So I'm going to need the TI 84 calculators for a lot for class. Let's talk about calculators and let's talk about Stat 201 technology. So I'm going to take a note right here. We'll change topics. Great question. Thank you so much. And that means you get some points. So let's talk about calculators and tech for 201. I'll put a 201 symbol right here. Stat 201. Okay, let's go talk about that. Okay, transition time. Is there there should be, right? We could do that. I'll have to rearrange that. Oh, we should put him in the meme tier level. Let me put him in the meme tier. So he's gonna be part of the meme tier now. So he's part of the meme tier. Tiny Brian's a meme, and so he's part of meme tier now, Brianna. So he's part of history right now. You can see him here in the background. He's right over there. There's Tiny Brian.
What are you talking about? I'm not there. I'm right here.
There we go. Tiny Brian, everybody. Let's do this. Hey, new goal right there, meme tier level. When you return back, say, hey, Brian, put me at meme tier level. I want to be Tiny Brian, meme tier level. Let's go. I'm going to re-timestamp this and talk about some tech in 201. Tech time for 201. Bye, Zach. Great seeing you here. Swing by anytime, ask those questions, grab some points. Re-timestamping this with tech for 201. Let's do it. So really when it comes down to it, the biggest thing with tech for 201 is any calculator works. Any calculator. Oh my gosh. Calculator is not your phone. Don't use your phone, please, wherever you do. You'll get in big trouble if during the exam or whatever we see you like doing like this. It's gonna make. Oh really? Oh yeah, I know, right? With the Discord stuff, right? If we see you looking at your phone during the exam, that's probably going to get you sent to student conduct. Not probably. High likelihood of you going to student conduct if you're looking at your phone. So please don't use your phone. But my calculator was on my phone. We don't. Just don't. We've got an on-screen calculator. On-screen calculator during exams. There's an on-screen calculator during exams. TI 84s. Great. Doesn't mean you'll list the class. I've had students who go out specifically and buy a TI 84 or TI 80 series or the TI, what are the Inspires? A lot of really great TI calculators, really cool calculators. So I've had students buy the like top tier calculators, and then I've had them fail the class. The calculator only does what you need it to do. And if we ask you like a question like, what is the mean of the following data? This could be like a test 1 question. Like there are test 1 questions like this. And it says like 8, 12, 8, 20, 45. See if you can solve this. Take a moment right here. If you can solve this, your calculator is doing part of what you need to do. We're not going to do really complicated stuff. We're not going to do like, we don't calculate standard deviation. But you can do this on the TI calculator. You can go and put in a data set and calculate the mean and double check your answer. I'd probably use this as a double check. But in truth, you don't need the TI calculator for this. You won't need the TI calculator. Who knows the answer for 20 points in the chat? Take a moment here. How do we get the mean? We haven't even covered this yet. That's why a lot of people do really well, and I love it. But we're going to try to keep the great progress. A lot of people do really well at the start of the semester. Like, I got this. This class is easy. It is kind of easy at the start. Gets a little more challenging as time goes on. We're gonna stay and be like, okay, solve problems. We got this. Even if you tell me how to solve it, I'll solve it then. It's important we just know how to find the mean. It's not about solving one problem. It's about knowing how to solve a problem. Brianna right there, that sounds like the right answer to me. Let's check Brianna's answer. The steps are 1, add up the numbers. We're going to add them up, take the sum of the numbers. 2, divide by how many numbers there are. And Brianna, great work. Another 20 points, Brianna right there. And also Ashton right there, great work. So we found the mean. What if it said find the median? The steps for the median, sometimes people get wrong because the steps for the median are put the numbers in order. So I'll do this one for you right here so we can practice. Putting the numbers in order, give us 8, 8, 12, 20, 45. Step 2 is, if there is a middle number, that's the median. So what is the median? We've already done the work. I've done the work for you. So what is the median? The median is the middle number if the middle number exists. I'm just going to hit random things. The median is the middle number if the middle number exists. If there is a middle number, and what do we mean by middle number? We got here 5 numbers. Is there a middle number? Is there one number that stands out by itself in the middle of all the numbers? There's also a way to find it mathematically. The position of the middle number, we'll put a note right here. The position of the middle number is 2n. No. 2n. Oh my gosh. It's n plus 1 divided by 2. There it is. It's a lot more work to think about how to do something than to like just do it. You got it, it's 12, yep. And so this is the position of the middle number. There are 5 numbers right here. So for this example, it would be 5 plus 1 divided by 2, and that is equal to 3. That's the position of the middle number. Tech Brian, well, thank you so much. That is the position of the middle number. So we do have other instances where we don't have a middle number, such as like this right here. And if you look at this data set now, what will be the median for this data set? So now this data set has 4 observations. You're also seeing some notation. So now the middle number is the 2.5th number. So we still follow the steps. If there is no middle number, like we see now, the middle number, or excuse me, the average of the 2 middle numbers is the median. And great job right there. You've averaged together 8 and 20. Brianna, great job. So this is a lot of test 1 calculator stuff. If you feel comfortable doing this on any old calculator, just a regular old, calculator with a few functions, you're great. Your TI calculators can do this. They would take the list and take the median of the list with the 5-number summary. It's actually kind of longer to do it on the TI calculator than it is to like do these steps right here. And yeah, so you should be fine if you just average these 2. So I'll show the work just in case anyone's wondering. And if anyone ever wonders, please say, how did you get that answer? So we go 8 plus 20. There's, oh my gosh. 8 plus 20. And then we divide by 2. And it should be directly between these. So 14 is directly between these. And we just covered the median and the mean, which are measures of center. So these are the kinds of questions you would answer. A question you would not answer on test 1 is find the standard deviation. We're never going to ask you to find the standard deviation on it. That is not a question you'll answer. We don't do find Q1. We've never done it in the past. I'm going to bet my money we're not doing in the future. Or Q3. You would not be finding these on test 1. A question you could get, let's go back to ones you could get, would be something like find the IQR, often shown with data. Now, because the thing is, you might say, wait, Q1 and Q3, for those who know, are related to the IQR. We'll do one more topic right here and help you out with this. Oh, Brianna, don't worry, Brianna. What are you thinking, Brianna? Because I bet you right now you could find the IQR. Watch this. Do you want to learn how to find the IQR? I bet you, let's set a timer right here, Brianna. I bet in 2 minutes, I can tell you how to find the IQR and you'll find it. Are you ready? You gotta say ready, and then I bet you we can do this. 2 minutes. You might already know, though, so that might be not fair. 2 minutes. Can we do it in 2 minutes? Learn how to find the IQR and what the IQR is. We'll see if we can do it in 2 minutes. It's the fun of it. Can we learn something in 2 minutes? Let's go. 2 minutes. Here we go. The IQR stands for the interquartile range. So the interquarters right here is how much of the data, Brianna? The interquarters here is how much of the data? Like, tell me here, the interquarters is how much of the data? The interquarters. The inter ones on this right here. The interquarters are how much of the data right there? The interquarters. The interquarters. That's how much of the data? The interquarters. Oh, close. They're each worth a quarter, but together the two of them, is 50%. Brianna, great answers right there, 20 points. So check this out. The IQR, if we go to a data set and go to the quantiles of a data set, and I think I still have survey 10, and we look at the quantiles of like people's GPAs, let's take a look at this. Do you see where such a tough one right there to talk about. Let's go to height. I want to do it with nice numbers. Ah, yes, this is so nice and pretty right here. So Brianna, do you see where the interquarter, the middle 50% would be? Do you see where the middle 50% would be? Does this make sense? The middle 50%. Do you see it? It's where the 25th to the 75th starts. So Brianna, all I want to know is how far away are these numbers? And that's the answer for the IQR. Not the 25 to 75, but I just want to know how far away are those numbers. So how far away, because it's a range. It's not the range of the full data sets. It's how far away is the middle 50% from each other. So what's the IQR there? What is the IQR for that data set? So what would the IQR for that data set be? I'm not going to say the answer. I just want you to think like, okay, it's how far those numbers are apart. It's the range of the middle 50%. That's where the middle 50% of the data is. So what would be the answer to this? The range of the middle 50%, and think about how far these numbers are away. That's what it stands for. It's how far is what's the distance? How far are those two numbers away from each other? Not just ignore that one. How far are they away? If you don't know, that's all right. That's it. That's mathematically, you literally got at the last moment, we're throwing 50 points. You just found the IQR. And you answered right there at the bell. For people who've seen the chat, you did it right at the bell. 2 minutes. We just speed ran the IQR in 2 minutes. If you get to another data set and you actually figured out the equation, what is the IQR for this one? Just see if you can tell me the numeric value of the IQR. So a test question might say, what is the IQR? And we'll look at it in some jump data here, but it's the range of the middle 50%, as in from Q1, which is the first quarter. I'm in the Discord, Dylan, some 20 points right there. So Q1 is where 1 quarter is. Q3 stands for where the third quarter is, like 3 quarters in your hand. What would the IQR be here? This one's not as pretty as numbers, but you figured out the equation. And the equation you figured out is actually Q3 minus Q1. So you actually came up with the equation, and now you're solving it every time. You're saying 48 worth another 20 points. So now on your test, because this is, now we got to get ready for your test, you might see it look a little different. Not too different. Is this it? Okay, here we go. Okay. So here we are. Oh, you're welcome, Brianna. You got this. This is great. And if you practice it a few times, that's when you get it down. You just say like, okay, can I do this with other examples? Can I remember this? And when it comes time for the test, you say the IQR is the range of the middle 50%. It's calculated from Q3 minus Q1. And then you know how to calculate it via output. You understand everything about the IQR. That topic, you understand it. So let's do the IQR right here let's do it not for something, let's do number of pets people own. So this data is a bit interesting. We'll talk more about shapes of data right here. But I want you to look at this data. I just want you to calculate the IQR for me. Think about what values. Ah, yeah, that's not too bad at all. Can we find Q1 and Q3? Q1 and Q3 are a little harder to find. You will find them via like calculators for your problems. And if Pearson ever tells you you're wrong, tell me. Because sometimes Pearson's a little bit weird on those questions. Troy, great questions right here, Troy. And so what do you need to look at to find the IQR for this? And Troy, great questions. What should you look at to find the IQR for this? So think about this output looks kind of similar to what we were just doing. And so what is the IQR for this one? Great to see you here, Lee. What is the IQR for this one? Because I can cheat. I can have it tell me the IQR. But I can say, no, the IQR is this. That's how far away those two numbers are from each other. What is the IQR? It stands for the range of the interquarters. The interquarters is the middle 50%. So what's the how far apart is the middle 50% from itself? Think of 1/4, which is Q1, 3/4, which is Q3, and how far away are those numbers from each other? Oh, Dylan, in 2014. Oh, Dylan, 20 points. And so, Dylan, you're doing some great work right there. Brianna, have fun at work. You got this. I'm throwing 100 points. Brianna, thank you so much. If you can't tell, I love going over these topics, and I love getting students ahead. So when we get to class, someone's like, I got this. I got all the answers. Someone's like, how do you know this? Like, I went to office hours. So this right here, feel free to answer if anyone wants. This right here has an IQR of 2 because right here, this is the 75th percentile. Oh, Dylan, that's awesome, Dylan. Glad to have you here. I went 5.5 years. Don't tell anyone. My undergrad was 5.5 years. So I'm in there with you with the super duper seniors. So no, my parents were like, you can graduate, right? And I was like, yeah, I got this. Brian might not have. When I tell people like pay attention in class, it's not that I'm like students don't pay attention. I'm like, Brian doesn't always pay attention. When I tell people about like, if someone's talking to you, you should talk with them and have a conversation. I'm like reminding myself like important people in my life are talking to me. Like my mom calls me and I'm playing video games and I'm like got her on a speakerphone. I'm like playing some Isaac and I'm like maybe I should like, give my mom my full attention. So, but I also want to play Isaac. Talk to my mom. Binding of Isaac, if you haven't played, it's a great game. The IQR here is 2. And what's really great about this is we can actually find it right here. So one thing we can always do with statistical software is we can just answer the questions of what is the IQR and we can know the answer. And so, engineering. You know what's so funny, Dylan? No joke. I came into UT as engineering. Oh yeah, it's pretty tough. It's for some people and not for others. Hey, that's the way business analytics is too. But I actually transferred into UT as biomechanical. See, I don't even know what the name of it is. BCMB, I think. I don't know. It was 20 years ago. It was 20 years ago. I was like joking. I was like, that's 20 years ago. I was like, oh yeah, it was like 2001, 2002. It was more than 20. Oh man, being a 40-year-old man. Yeah. Troy, let me hop over here. Troy, what do you want to talk about, Troy? What do you want to learn about? Would you like to review maybe test 1 questions for chapter 1? Like I could come up with some test 1 questions and see. Yeah, I know, right, Lee? Computer engineering and stuff, CS, computer science, there's a lot of tough major. Shout out to anyone in Minkow. Like there's a lot of tough majors. And if you excel at that stuff, that's awesome because it'll make it a little bit easier. Not saying any majors are easy or anything like that, but I look at some majors like computer science and stuff, and I'm like, I don't think I could survive that. It's really tough. And so good work on those who are working hard to pursue some of the hardest things to understand. I have to get ready to practice. Great job right there, Ashton. Have a great time at practice. And Troy, would you like for me to do some example problems from chapter 1, some of the things I see students get wrong? And we could do like example chapter 1 problems, and we could see what people think. It might be, if that's what people want. We did a little bit on, what do we call this section? We called it calculators and tech. Let's go calculators and solving math. Let's do that, Troy. You got it. 2450, Stat Tool 1, Chapter 1, example problems. Dylan, great seeing you. Great seeing you. I'll see you on the Discord. See you around. More points for everybody. More points, always better. Let's head over here, Troy, and start up a little bit of chill music right here. Let's start up some Chapter 1 and talk about some example problems. Here we go. Chapter 1, example problems. Let's do this. I think there's an underestimate. I think there's an, like chapter 1's so easy that it's like, psh, I got chapter 1. It's easy. But the thing about chapter 1 is there's a few key concepts we need to know like this. Because when it comes down to it, chapter 1 is going to control the rest of our world for the rest of time. This histogram right here with asking people number of pets, Dylan, is what kind of data? So you should look at number of pets people own, like how many pets do you own? And you should think of a letter like Q, C, or I. So you should be like, oh, Brian's analyzing what kind of data right here, which would then tell you histograms are a visualization of this kind of data. So Q, C, or I. What Q, C, or I? If you've done chapter 1, you might know what Q, C, or I means. Shorthand for. So number of pets. How many pets people own is what? And I'll tell you the failings or the missteps people have with these questions. How many pets you own is a quantitative variable, Q. So it's how many pets do you own, not what pet do you own, which is another question, a category. We own bunnies. We're in the bunny group. And then which pet do you own would identify, like our bunny is Jolly Jan Michael Vincent. There's only one of him. We also own Morty. He's another bunny too, but he's not Jolly Jan Michael Vincent. Q, because it's asking how many, and it's real numbers, right? So we need to know here that quantitative variables are actual real numbers. So things like how many pets do you own would be like how much money do you make? How much do you make? How much do you make? Sure. But not things like, let's put these as trick questions, because sometimes people ask this as like 1 is freshman, 2 is sophomore, because these right here, these numbers represent what's. So I'm just looking for a G word, which goes towards categorical. Quantitative variables are things that are actual real numbers that you can take the difference of. A great way to tell if they are numbers is to try subtracting them and see if the difference makes sense. Which you could ask someone, how many years have you been at UT? But what is your class level is not a numeric thing. It is an ordinal, more on that in a moment. But this is not quantitative. If you say, I am a sophomore, that's not a quantity. You might call it group 2, but you might also, it's kind of an alias, like another way of just saying I'm a sophomore, is say group 2. So really a great way to check to see if something is actual real numbers is to try subtracting the difference. Like if I say I own 2 pets and you say you own 1, there is a difference of 1 between us. If I say I make $30,000 and you make $50,000, there's a difference of $20,000 between us. Now, you might say, well, I'm a freshman, you're a senior. There's a difference of 3 classes between us, but that's ordinal classes. Watch out. That's probably one of the trickiest ones right here. That's not a quantity right there when you say 1, 2. The question could be changed to, how many years have you gone to UT? So age would be quantitative. How old are you? And then you say, I'm 40, because I am. And then you say, you have to say your age if you don't want. You say, I'm 23. You say, okay, there's 17 years between us. So great job right there, Lee, 20 points. Age is quantitative because it represents actual real numbers. I can say I've been at UT for sophomore years. Yes, exactly. And you can say, how many years have you been at UT? What does your class put you in a group of people, which many of them have been at UT 2 years. So you have to watch out. It's kind of like group 2 and it goes in an order. More on ordinal variables here in a second. So quantitative, and I want to say a huge shout out right there. Great examples, Troy, right there. You have to put this in your own words. And that's where you're going to do great. And this is kind of tomorrow's lecture. Categorical variables, and we'll try to talk about some tricks right here that we do with categorical variables. So categorical is the other group. You're going to do the right color. There we go. Categorical variables. Categorical variables is the other major type of variables, and this puts things into groups. And we'll talk about the special type here in a moment. Generally, a good way is to say, what group are you in? So that's kind of a good way to ask this question. If you say, like, what group are you in? Now watch out. There's a special version of this. More on in a second. Sorry. There we go. And so what kind of questions do we have here? You'll see me do this during class. I'll be giving out tons of extra credit like I'm doing right now. I'll come up with a few right here, like, what is your hair color? It kind of sounds weird when you say, like, what is your hair color group? You'll say, well, what color is my hair? You can see it right here. It's about brown. It's my hair color. You could ask people, what color is your shirt? Or what class level at UT are you? Things like this, like what group of class level are you in? Like, it's very hard to give a common structure to everything where you have to say, like, what group are you in? But it's going to put people into categories. That's what categorical variables do. There is another name for this that I don't like, also known as qualitative. It's kind of good that you know it. See, I can't even spell it. Which stands for like a quality of something. So like your hair color is a quality. Once I realized that, I was like, oh, qualitative and quantity. I'm not a big fan of qualitative, but it's a quality of something. But you won't really hear me say that other than just to let you know that it's also called qualitative. I just think it adds confusion if they both start with Q. So I like to talk about quantitative, which is a quantity of something, and qualitative, which is a quality, but you'll hear me call it categorical, just categorical variables right there. And just like, what quality does this have? What's your hair color? What's your class level? All that stuff. Now, there's a special type, and who knows, for 20 points, we'll pause here for a moment. If it was class, I'll give it a bigger pause. But who knows the special type of categorical variables, which this question could be a whole teaching to the test moment. You'll hear this a lot during the semester when I'm telling you this is basically, I've seen it on the test because I know it's on the test a lot of times. What is a special type of categorical variable? This special type of categorical variable is a group of one. Everything in it must be unique. It's basically which one? Identifiers, Troy, 20 points right there. Reading ahead, you know the answers. It's identifiers. Identifiers. I don't know how to spell anything. Identifiers are special case categorical variables. They are groups of one. And let's put a thing right here. They cannot and will not ever repeat, even if in our data they don't repeat. Now, this is confusing to some people, but I want you to think about what an identifier does. An identifier does what to something in a data set? Like, just don't go crazy right here. Just use the word. An identifier would what someone in a data set. So just use the word itself. An identifier, because it's a good way to remember it, like special case categorical variable means it's a category of one. So there's only one you in that category, which means it would what you in that data set. Like if I have an identifier, it would what that person in the data set. Oh, doing shiny. Ben right there. I bet you're ahead of the game. Ben, I'm liking hearing that. Ben, some extra for Ben right there. Ben, that's so great to hear. And so good to see you, Ben. Hope your semester's going great. I bet you're ahead of the game. You're like, I got some shiny knowledge. It's like, people are like, what you got there? I got some shiny knowledge. It's good stuff. Do you want to learn some shiny? Losing my mind today. Identifiers. Identify.
It doesn't matter.
Wrong. Rock. You weren't supposed to talk. So, and Troy's got a great comment right here. So, categorical can also be seen as classifications, like groups. So, you can say that freshmen are in class 1, but the number 1 is not quantitative, and identifiers. Basically, oh, Ben, that's so great to hear. And we're merging a lot of stuff. We're trying to build this great experience for you. Ben, thank you so much. And I hope Petrie is happy about that too. And I hope he's doing well. I'm checking on him today. Identifiers. Here's an identifier. Wait, but it's a number, right? Identifiers. So Troy, I hope this helps with what an identifier is. Identifiers are going to identify each person in the data set or each thing. That's why they have to be what for everything. Like this cannot be an identifier because it's not what. Think of a U word. Identifiers must be what for every observation because they will identify like this is person 20. If I go down here to a row later and I say this is person 83. So I can what the person, I can identify him. So, information on person 83. So it must exactly, Troy, it must be unique. Exactly. Ben knows right there. It can't repeat. It must be unique because it has to identify someone. If it repeats, then we'd say like person 83. Well, that could be this person or this person. Then it does not identify. So things that you might think, like this right here, someone's major, is that an identifier? Well, it's got a bunch of levels, but it repeats. You can see right here a bunch of finance majors, kinesiology. This is not an identifier. You like even if pet expense, you might say maybe let's take a very small data set right here. I'm going to go to subset. And I'm going to take, and this is where students usually get tricked on identifiers. So I'm going to go right here. I'm going to select only 4 rows. And here's where students get tricked. This is the identifier. So my question becomes, be careful on this. Don't worry if you get it wrong. Because if you get it right, you understand it. If you get it wrong, we're practicing. High school GPA, what variable type is that right now? High school GPA is what variable type right now? And it doesn't repeat. I'm trying to trick you. High school GPA, be careful. I'll explain the answer, but don't worry. What kind of variable is it? So high school GPA is a what? It's a good practice right here. If you can be like, that's this variable because it's this. But watch out. People say, it doesn't repeat. I'll explain why. Some people say in the chat, a little chill music. Lee, you got it. Lee, that's great. You got it. It's quantitative. It's quantitative because it's how much is your high school GPA? Grades are often categorical, like A, B, C, D, F, but it's quantitative because it's how much is your high school GPA? And so here's the good practice. You ready? What could you do to the individuals? And let's make it really easy on the mathematics. What could you do to these two individuals to see if it's quantitative? Do your test right here. Be like, if it's quantitative, what can I do to those numbers? And then that difference should make sense. I kind of said the answer. If it's quantitative, what can you do to the numbers if you have numbers? And then that'll make sense. Yeah, exactly. And that's a good way to check for quantitative. If you see numbers and you start subtracting them and then they make difference, like, oh, there's a 1 point GPA difference between these two people, it's quantitative. Exactly. That's the great check. We've got the checks in here on our sheet to make sure we don't get tricked. And like I said, this is where we want to practice. A great way to tell if there's numbers is to subtract them and see if that difference then makes a sense. So good check to see if it's quantitative. Like if you do a bunch of these, you'll just be like, oh, this variable's this. Let's go to another tricky one. We got here major. Okay, so major is that quantitative categorical identifier. I'm trying to trick you. If you're getting these all right, you've got chapter 1 conquered. Like you're like, obviously it's this. Watch out, you might be wrong. You're like, is he trying to trick me or trick me with the reverse trick? Which trick is this? Lee, you got it. Because you would ask someone, what is their major? And then when you ask someone, what is their major, that answer could what? So think about it. You ask someone like, what group of your what's your group major group? And they'd be like, major group. I'm just saying, what's your major? Like, what group do you fall into for your major? And then the answer they could give could what? Boom, Lee. That's exactly the thing to check for identifier. And but someone says, Brian, I've had people come to me after the test. They say, Brian, it didn't repeat. I looked at the data set and it didn't repeat. So go into a little more detail and you'll understand the biggest pitfall students have had because they'll say, it doesn't repeat there, Brian. It's not that it repeats here. It's that in theory, if you talk to more people, it could repeat. Like you talk to more people, you're eventually going to find two people with the same major. So it can't be used as an identifier. Like my name, Brian, is not an identifier. My name, Brian Stevens, is not an identifier. You throw in my middle name, still not an identifier because it could repeat. Now, what do I have of me? And don't put this in the chat. What do we usually have, at least if you grew up in the US, or you could talk about your license or stuff like that. What might you have for individuals that would identify individuals? Don't put yours in the chat. But what might you have for people that could identify a person? Like instead of saying this name of this person, you could give a what for a person? What could you give for a person? Not everyone might have it, so then you got to come up with other ways. You got to be like, oh, well, now we need this. What could we give for people that would identify people? Social security number right there, exactly. Driver's license number, we might be able to do that because everyone's going to have one driver's license number. For cars, we could use vehicle identification numbers that would identify cars on the highway, things like that. Business cards, yeah, we could have a business ID, or isn't that when you? I think the government has like registered business IDs. So that's what the government would use to identify businesses. I can't remember what the name of it is. I don't do a bunch of business stuff. My sister does all the business stuff. I'm in business analytics and she's got 3 businesses now, I think. That's maybe why I do business analytics. So Social Security, exactly. And so is that making sense right there that would not repeat? And someone says, but that's numbers. If someone gloated to you that their social security number was 10,000 more than yours, like my social security number is 10,000 more than yours, you'd be like, it's not numbers. It's just an identification. Like this number over here, when this person says, aha, I've got the highest number, you say, Rock knows the answer.
It doesn't matter.
It's just an identification. It's just your person 536. That doesn't mean anything. Sometimes they can have a time collection to it. Like maybe it's a race or something, but we identify. There's a lot of weird, tricky ones, but I'm trying to give over the biggest ones we do that sometimes catch students. We don't really try to trick students, but I understand kind of where the pitfalls are in the learning. So I guess just a few more things to mention on this. So we've done a good, really few test questions there. Sometimes we might literally just take a data set and actually this would just be so easy on this right here. We've done stuff like this where we just take a data set and we show you the variables. I know you can barely see them, but truthfully, if you even saw this, how quickly could you identify, like, if you have been practicing this with us right here, and this was, I know you can't read all of them. This is like, maybe if you have an IRS account or something, or if you have have a bank account. How quickly can you identify what these variables are right here by just looking at this? Yes, Troy right there. Troy says, Social Security number classifies and it classifies you as a specific person. So it's an identifier because it's a group of one. Everyone's classified into their own specific group, and it would identify individuals. Troy, great answer right there. Could you answer for me all these variable types, even though you can barely read what some of them are? Like human, that's humans on Mars. Could you tell me what these variables are? Just by looking at them, you should be able to be like, you know what? Pretty sure I know what these variables are. This is what percentage do you tip, your tip percentage. Could you maybe tell me all these variable types? Just by looking at them and being like, I noticed something about the categories. Notice that all these variables that are categorical repeat. That means they can't be identifiers. That's like just boom. So everything right here, all of these categorical. You only really have one to consider right now. So now you're wondering if that's quantitative or not. And it's what percent do you tip? I did say what percent, but is what percent do you tip quantitative or categorical? And how can you be sure when you look at a person who tips 5% and a person who tips 20%, how could you be sure that this is quantitative? Because I did say what percent do you tip? You're like, well, that's kind of like what group then? You said what? I thought it was how. I could say how much is your tip percentage, and that might make it better. But someone might hear me say what, and you said, Brian, you said what? That's a group thing. How could you know for the person who tips 5 and 20%, how could you be like, psh, I know what this is? You'd say, Brian, I know what this is because I just did what to those numbers, and that's a great way to tell. Exactly, Troy, right there. You got it. It's the way to tell. You just look at it and say, okay, it's real numbers. It's like this difference makes sense. So you can always subtract numbers, but if the difference makes logical sense, like, oh, they tip 15% more, which we can see between these two individuals, then you know it's quantitative. So, and do be careful, like, sometimes numbers can be categorical, sometimes numbers, that's probably the big tricks. Does that make sense, Troy, right here? A lot of times people will see numbers and think, oh, it's quantity. But you could have social security number, and that would be identifier. You could have what class level, and that would be categorical. So you have to be careful when you see numbers. That's probably the trickiest ones. But if you don't see numbers, then you're down here on these. Last thing to mention on this, and then we'll really have done a big review of this chapter. Categorical variable has subtypes. We don't go into great detail on these, but it's worth noting. The subtypes are ordinal and also nominal. Now, I want you to think about what ordinal and nominal means. Ordinal means that the variable has what to it. So if you think of an ordinal variable, you're almost going to groups because like age group is categorical. Lee, that is such a good question. It'd be like a quantitative with fixed responses because you could still say the 15% tip 5% more than 10%. But if you put a group of like 12 to 20%, then you've kind of created tip percentage groups. And then that would be category. Lee, that's such an in-depth good question. I don't think we'd ever go that detailed on an exam and try to trick people to that degree because that'd be really mean. But it's kind of, it's what we call discretizing a quantitative variable. That's really good in-depth stuff because some surveys do that. They discretize, make discrete groups out of a quantitative variable. That's a very good in-depth question. So some big points right there. So ask those big questions because sometimes surveys do that. Yeah, that would be discretize. If you do a group like people who tip 5 to 10%, 10 to 15%, 15 to 20%, that'd be a discretization of a quantitative variable, which would put it into discrete groups. And we would say it's categorical, like this group, this group. Now, then there is some sort of idea of differences between the groups at that point, and you could use a value. Yeah, I don't like doing that. Just ask someone how much they tip, and then you could discretize afterwards. If you start discretized, if you start the groups, you can't get the number. If you start with the number, you could go to discrete groups. Does that make sense, Lee, right there? Really good in-depth question. If you collect how much does someone tip, you could then put that into groups. But if you collect what group do you tip in, you don't know how much they tip. So it's better to collect the quantitative information and then discretize it afterwards. Really good in-depth question right there. Like that's some big data analytics stuff. So ordinal categorical variables, ordinal, have what to them? Get the quantity. How old are you? I'm in the 40 to 50 age group. Not joking. It's going to be less funny as I get older. I'm in the 40, 50 age group. You just ask me how old I am, and it'll make more sense. So, it just sounds weird to say that. Ordinal categorical variables have order to them. Ordinal categorical variables have order to them. What does that mean? Well, stake preference. What is the lowest end of stake preference? You're probably going to hear a lot of the same stuff during lecture. I'm sorry. What is the lowest end of stake preference? Like what's the low end of stake preference? Most people are going to think it's this, but it's actually even lower. Think of the color on the screen if you ever worked in a restaurant. There's lower than what you're thinking. Someone in chat will know it during class. I'll say, I'm not eating that. It's below what I'll eat. Raw. Actually, I think you've done it, Lee. I think you've found it. So they actually lie. Lee, you got to put those comments in the chat. That's what makes chat fun. Lee and Troy, I don't care. I'm throwing 100 points. Thank you so much. This is what we do during office hours. We just have some fun and talk about this. Because you see, Lee's thinking, I love it right there, Troy. In the restaurant industry, we have what we call blue rare. So there's blue rare, which is like literally you put it and you sear it on both sides. So you kind of have on the lowest end of the spectrum right here, blue rare. And then you have like rare. Then you have mid rare. Then you have mid. And you have mid well. And then you have well. And then you have hockey puck. So sure, if you want to, sure, we'll make you a hockey puck. That's like if you go into a restaurant, someone will know if we'll get some restaurant people in our 201 streams. If maybe someone here has worked in a restaurant. When you think about steak preference, it has a what to the levels. Now, of course, you could talk about internal temperature, which is more of a quantitative scale for these steak preferences. So even steak preference kind of has a quantitative measure to it, but we kind of group it into groups. Yeah, exactly. Tartare. Oh yeah, and the tartare is even lower. Awesome, Brianna. Chill out. Enjoy. We're talking about steak right now. And so steak preference, which is groups, has a what to it. Look at these steak preferences and just tell me, what do you notice about these steak preferences? Which means it's this type of categorical variable. It's still categorical. It just has a what to it. Like as I say them, blue rare, rare, medium, medium, mid well, hockey puck. This has an order to it. That's what an ordinal. We already mentioned a ordinal variable earlier. What ordinal variable did I mention earlier? Yep, they go in an order. It's like you wouldn't say hockey puck, blue rare, medium. You do it in an order usually. We got a bot here today, kicking the bot from the chat. I don't know why. YouTube, you need to fix this. There we go. Gone. So mods can also do that too if you see a bot. If you're like, I'm 99% sure it's a bot. No, did I remove them? Go away. There we go. They should go away. Okay, they're gone. YouTube's getting bots lately. What other age group can? Yes, age group. Lee, good answer right there. We did mention age group. Age group would be an ordinal categorical variable if you have like 0 to 5, 6 to 12, 13 to 20. And you kind of logically group, or 13 to 18, because you want to group it together like by times of life, right? You wouldn't be like 0 to 20, 20 to 40. It's like, okay, wait, 0 to 20, like a baby to a 20-year-old's a big gap. So you might go like 0 to 2, 3 to 5. I don't know. You just got to group it into groups and be like, there's this group, there's this group, there's this group, like newborn, toddler, child, adolescent, teen, young adult, adult. Am I an adult now? I've kind of been an adult for a while, I guess. I don't know. We also have your class level, which goes in order: freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, super duper senior, all that great stuff right there. That's when your hair goes orange, yellow, gold. I don't know. Goes super senior. But then we have here grade level. Grade level. Does it go in an order? So to see if something is ordinal, you have to say, does it make sense to say it in an order? Like freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. Would grades count? Brianna, that's worth some 20 points right there. Grades are also ordinal. So if we go right here and we test that with grades, do grades have an order to them when someone would say them? Like, should grades go in an order? Like if we say A, B, it's not doing the spacing for me, C. Why is there no E? I want to make an E in a class. They would. Grades right here are ordinal because they go in an order. And they also are kind of a proxy for a quantitative, like what was your score in the class? Your quantitative score in the class, like a 93, 94, 95, can be put into a group at the end of the semester, which puts you into a category of an ordinal categorical variable. So just kind of go off of the idea of what a nominal is. A nominal categorical variable is a categorical variable that has what order to it? Just go to the start of it. A equals M. So a nominal, nominal variables. Lee, if only that was true, I'd feel so much better about my academic career. I was fantastic many times in my academic career. Not lying. I can show the transcript. Many times. Has no order. So what about hair color? So we can do things that have no order, like hair color. You wouldn't say, and maybe you could figure out, I don't usually think of hair color as ordinal, but hair color, if you think about it, there's really no order, like black, brown, gray, red, blue, yellow, I don't know, whatever hair color you want. But there's no real order to that. So the idea here when we do ordinal categorical variables is they have order, and nominal categorical variables have no order to them. It's just like, what's your hair color? And it's not like we should put them in any specific order. It would just go like this. Does anyone have another one? What would shoe size be? Shoe size is such a weird variable, and I absolutely hate it. Brianna, let me think about this one. So shoe size is a mess. And the biggest reason, Brianna, people are asking such great questions. The biggest reason shoe size is a mess is because it contains within it maybe two variables. The two variables shoe size contains is it's a mix usually between a categorical variable. Let's talk about shoe size and why Brian hates it. Shoe size, mix of a quantitative and categorical variable. So if you go to the shoe store, and usually this is the way it is, and I think it's ridiculous, categorical and ordinal. I think, and so Brianna, and it's great answers right here. Let's see, because maybe we'll go with, I'll tell you why I think this. If I were to say somebody, I need a shoe size that is too bigger, they would probably do that. But also, I've made a mistake one time. I found these really cool, were they Skechers? What's those really cool? They got Converse. I was buying some Converse. I'll walk up to the front and I put the Converse down and he looks at me and he goes, do you want these? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, are they for you? I was like, yeah. He's like, do you want 11 men or 11 women's? And I was like, oh. He's like, oh, we'll go get you some 11 men's. And I was like, all right, cool. I was like, yeah, that's for me. What's going on here? Probably a common mistake in a shoe store. I actually had a friend who worked in a shoe store for like 5 or 6 years. Like he sold shoes all the time. So the question of gender, they're going to be categorized it exactly. So gender, which shoe size usually incorporates, which they were asking me, because you're kind of asking two questions right here. Gender is a categorical variable. So is gender ordinal or nominal? Is there an order to gender? So gender is categorical because you say, what gender are you? And is there an order to that or no order to that? Is gender ordinal or nominal? Like you'd be like, oh, it's nominal. There's no order to it. It's just nominal. So there's no order to that. That's what we mean by nominal. It's just like, I'm male. There's no order. There's no gender before or after me. It's just, what gender are you? So now we go to the second question of like how long is your foot? Like we go here and say length of shoe. Now here's what's so ridiculous. You know what I'd like for them to do? All I'd like to do is for them to pull out a ruler and just measure that shoe and then measure my foot and say, your foot is, I'm going to be way off, 350 centimeters long. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Who knows? And then they say, you need a shoe that's 360 centimeters so you can have the right amount of room. And I say, okay, sell me a 360 centimeter shoe. That's what you do when you get into math too much. But instead, we've got things like 11, male, wide, all these crazy things right here. What is 11? 11, sadly, and Brianna, you're probably right, is just another group of shoes. And probably the worst thing about this too is sizes of clothing for women. And this is really just another categorical variable because you really just have like the category of clothing for women that falls into a 2, a 4, a 6, an 8, a 10, a 12, a 14, a 16. And then what does it mean to be this? Well, it's just in this group of things that are in group size 2 for women. It's not really a measurement. It's not a quantity. It's just, and they might have similarities between them. That's what we see with groups. So I'd almost say that length of shoe is categorical. So actually, did Brianna say that to start? And actually, Brianna, no way, Brianna, this is 50 points. Length of shoe is kind of categories. And length of shoe has what to it? Say it with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Length of shoe has a what to it? And it's kind of categories. I hate this about it. Just give me a numeric measurement on that shoe. Tell me how many centimeters it is. It's got order to it. So you've done it. I think I threw out 150 points. I know I'll throw another 50. Brianna, I think, thought through it more than I did before I even did it, that this is kind of categories of gender, nominal, might be unisex shoes and stuff like that. And then that's even another category of shoe, classification of gender for the shoe, which, why do shoes have gender? Doesn't matter. Just tell me the size of the shoe. I don't know. Just tell me. Here's the dimensions. Here's how it'll fit. I know right there. Imagine if you went to a shoe store and then they measured your foot and they told you the measurements and then they pulled out this comfortability chart, or they looked into their iPad and then they're like, here's the shoes that'll probably fit most comfortable on you. Like they looked at the analytics and they're like, here's what people rate their comfortability with your dimensions of your foot. And you're like, oh, they're saying this is the most comfortable shoe. And you're like, yeah. You're like, oh yeah, let's go get that shoe. I'd love to, just relax in that shoe, go on a walk in that shoe. They're like, oh yeah, here's the comfortability scores related to your shoe size. And this is the predictive analytics that say you like this shoe the best. And it'd work a lot better if they just took the dimensions and then used it and sold you a shoe with those dimensions instead of numbers like 11 and 10, whatever. Brian rants about shoe size. So anyways, you run into these problems with real world data. We don't like, shoe size is such a weird one. I want to walk on clouds. Let's do that. 20 points right there. We'll get the perfect, we need better data. But that's been a really good talk right here. Usually the test questions look something like this. So, do we have, let's go look at the practice test. You know what? Let's go do that. Review test 1. If you didn't know it, MuBucks can send you to these reviews. I'm going to send out a link here in a moment to my my late night class. I have a 6:05 class tonight. 6:10, 6:05? 6:10. I put alarms on my phone to remind me. I have fears, especially first few days of class, that I'll forget about a class and just not go to it. So here is the test 1 material. Here's a speed run. You'll hear me talking about the same things, and you'll get to see some epic stuff.
Epic Stat Tool 1 speedruns of statistics. Brian Stevens.
Sure. There you are, Brian. And we'll be covering the same things you just heard me talk about. And so the same things. There's a data set. See if you could practice with that. Try following along. What's the agendas for tomorrow's class? We'll be doing the lecture, and we'll get through probably lectures 1 and 2. 2's a long one. We'll get through lectures 1 and 2, most of 2. We'll start with syllabus. We'll do chapter 1. It's really quick. And then we'll be doing some chapter 2. And yeah, we'll probably get most of the way through chapter 2 tomorrow. First week of class, most of the way through chapter 2. And here's example problems. Let's look at an example problem right here. It's a really good review. Oh, variable types. So this was on a previous test. So the question becomes, could you solve this question? Okay. So what do we have right here? We have a gas station trying to increase their food sales. You bet. And so transaction number. Uh-oh, it's a number. What do you think? C, Q, or I? See if you can solve this along with me. Be careful. Transaction number. And I won't give you any hints or anything. I want to see if you can get it from our review earlier. So I'm pausing the video here. A great way to practice the problems is to see, can you solve them? I will solve them later on. I don't want to show you the answers, but you will see the solve, and I will talk through the answers in these videos. But could you find it? Lee, you got it. It is an identifier. I think a lot of people got this one wrong because they said, wait a minute, it's a number. But remember our check. We say, if I subtract these, does the difference make sense? No one's going to be gloating about their transaction number is 600 higher than someone else's. This just identifies what transaction at the gas station so they can go back and look at it. Gas type of gas, C, Q, or I in the chat. So type of gas, is that a quantity of type of gas, an identifier of type of gas, or a category of type of gas? Remember the rules for identifiers. Identifiers must be unique. Brianna's got it. It is a category. And you know instantaneously because it will not repeat. I mean, if it is an identifier. Since it's repeating already, it's clear to see. Numbers of gallons. So good check on here as people think about it and put CQI in the chat. If I say, I got 4 more gallons than you, does that make sense? So my fiance and I swing by the gas station. She says, I got 22 gallons. I say, I got 26. And she's like, oh, you got 4 more gallons than me. Yep, it's quantitative. Real numbers, real differences. Did you pay at the pump? And she says, did you pay at the pump? And I say, no, I didn't pay at the pump. She says, oh, I did pay at the pump. CQ or I? CQ or I for paying at the pump. I say, no, I didn't pay at the pump. She says, I did pay at the pump. Because these are individuals right here and what they did. Q? I mean, C. Categorical. See, gotta be careful. Very easy to make mistakes. This category. Did you buy inside food? I say no. And she said, yes. I'm picking different people each time. So that'd be categories 2. How did you pay? Is this an identifier? How did you pay? And then I'll tell you a trick. How did you pay? CQ or I? So I'll wait for everyone to respond here again. Trying to trick you maybe. It's also categorical because it repeats. If it repeats, it can't be an identifier. Watch out if you do have a small data set, it might not repeat. But once again, maybe if someone pays with dining dollars, I don't know. If it can repeat, it's not an identifier. Now, I've had people look at gas purchase. Brianna got it right there. Great job, Brianna. Another 20 points in the chat. Look at gas purchase. You bought. Paying in Dogecoin. Sprinkle on a few more points right there. Gas purchase in dollars. What is this? CQ or I? Gas purchase in dollars. We're almost done. And then you'll have done a little bit of review right here. Gas purchase in dollars. She says, I spent $85. I'm like, geez, where are we going? She says, it's 2010. Gas prices are crazy. And I'm like, yeah, I know, right? Quantitative, yep. How much did you spend on your gas? And day of the week is categorical. Here's a trick. I can't promise this. Most data sets probably have how many identifiers. I cannot promise this, but it's kind of a trick because it's kind of how we make data. Most data sets probably have this many identifiers. Most data sets probably have this many identifiers. Like if you had to guess, because they identify. So how many of them do you think you need? Probably one. I can't promise that. I can't promise that. We'll make up trick questions all the time that we'll throw a second identifier on there. But this one follows the structure, and I don't know what the data sets will be. I don't know every single question that will be on the test, but if your point is to identify, you only need one of them. It's redundant to have multiple identifiers, but people do that. People collect multiple identifiers like specimen ID and person number and social security number and collect multiple identifiers, but you really only need one because it identifies. And sometimes, can't promise this either because we definitely change this one up more often. It's a lot of good data. I cannot promise this. Do not immediately think this. A lot of well-designed data will put the identifier where? A lot of well-designed, and I cannot promise these things, but a lot of well-designed data will put the identifier where in the data set? Where do you think identifiers usually are, which is kind of a good spot to like immediately see? A lot of well-designed data will put in the first column. Yeah, to be like, this is the, like, so you can identify. Hey, Kayla, so good to see you here, Kayla. If you got questions, let me know. I'm going to be sending out that 320 link really soon. So yeah, a lot of well-designed data will put it as the first column. And you can see that. You can see that with, we were doing business analytics earlier. And you'll see right here, survey 10. Oh, we don't have an identifier. We could add it in. We could add it in as the first column. Like, watch this. You ready? Here's how we code. Really quick on this, let's just show a preview of coding. I need to send the announcement to 320. 320, BS320, preview of coding. Okay, so watch this. We just kind of switched topics, right? If you have more questions, let me know. I want you to help me really quickly on this, add an identifier to this. Are you ready? So this is probably like second weeks. Kids are late now because I'm early. That's awesome. We're throwing out points like crazy as per usual. So, this is R in our studio, a little preview of 320. Maybe someone will be taking it later. He's taking 201. You never know. Never know, right? And so I want you to look at this and tell me, in survey 10, Brian, there's how many people? Just look at that and tell me how many people are there? That's what that represents. How many people are there in survey 10? I bet you 201 saying, I can't do this. Brian, there's no way I'm going to be able to do this. I promise. Just how many people are there in this Excel spreadsheet? Just an Excel spreadsheet. That's all it is. Just an Excel spreadsheet. How many people are there? So there's how many people we talked to. We talked to how many people? How many people do you think we talked to in there? So that's what that would. 699. You got it right there. More points. And we asked them 20 questions. So we asked them 20 questions. Does that make sense? Here's the 20 questions. We said 20 questions. They said, okay, we said, do you have a significant other? What percent of people do you think you're funnier than? All these things right here. We asked them 20 questions. So we don't have an identifier right now, right? Let's fix that. So to fix that, we're going to go over here and we're going to start working with it a little bit. I'd like you to think about how I could write every number 1 to like 699. Let's go right here. I could do this right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, there's a bunch of numbers, right? So I'm going to have to take a long time writing this, but I bet you, how about this? Take a moment in the chat and think about how Brian could create all the numbers 1 through 699 super quickly. Take a look at what Brian did to make his life easier and think about how Brian could make all the numbers 1 to 699 super easy. Lee, you're destroying it. Lee, do you code? If you do code, that's awesome. If you don't code, that's even more awesome. Lee just figured it out right there. And Kayla, great job too. Both of you, excellent work. You just did it. You just wrote every number. How about we call this ID number? Now, what this is a store into. I'd like for you to watch my global environment over here. And when you watch the global environment here, oh, nice. Little good practice right here. Do you see ID number? This says it's an integer vector with the numbers positions. These are positions, so don't worry about the square brackets yet. But we can also see inside of it. So there's the numbers. If you want to see a smaller thing, we'll go ID fakes. And we'll go here a vector of 2, 5, 6. And you can see that appear over here. And it has 3 elements in it. Position 1 through 3, 2, 5, 6. Ah, yes, I know, right? Easy to make 100 or 699 numbers. So we're actually only one step away from adding an identifier to this. So I'm going to tell you one command right here, and I want you to think of the other. We can do what's called row binding. Row binding would take rows, looks like this, and bind the rows together. So what does one say num? Oh, those are numeric, and the other's integer. Numeric take up more memory, so computer science majors right here might be able to go into greater detail with double decimal precision. Numeric takes up more memory inside of R, where integer takes up less memory. It's like a float. Computer science, Lee, if you want to expand upon this. Kayla, 50 points. Numeric and integers, going back to 201, are both what kind of variable? So Lee, numeric and integer are both, and they're actual real numbers. They represent real numbers. Numeric and integer are both supposed to be used for what kind of variable? And so, Kayla, you're ahead of the game hearing this today. Oh, and I need to send this announcement and say, class in 30 minutes. Numeric and integer both are for what kind of data? This is a throwback to one question. Quantitative. Yep. Numeric and integer are both for quantitative. And then you might even see over here, we have another type, factor, for categorical. So what you learn in 201 with like quantitative and categorical, you can see gender right there as a factor, which is a categorical variable. It's just another name for it. So it's like, oh, gender is a factor. It's a categorical variable. It's just another name for it. So instead of row binding, and I'm going to do this a little quickly and then I'm going to send the announcement. Instead of row binding, we're going to column bind. Now, column binding takes columns and puts them together. So should work. I'm going to go right here, and I wonder what's going to name this. Let's go right here. Ooh, might get mad because it's not a data frame. I'm going to go ID number and combine that with survey 10. Does it work? It did. Let's save this by left arrowing. Remember the left arrow stores thing, and call survey 10 with ID. And that creates the object. And let's take a look. Survey 10 with ID, and take a look at what's at the start. Oh my gosh, look at that. We just created an ID number at the start of it. So what did we do? We combined these two things together. We took the columns. So we said, okay, take these columns and numbers, take this data frame, and combine together the columns with a column binding. The first argument is put this thing together with this thing, and then there you go. And we created this new data frame, which now has, you can see the difference between the variables in it. The difference in the variables is 1, where this one does not have the ID at the start. See, there's no ID variable. And then this one right here has the ID variable at the start, the ID number. And we just did it. We created an ID. Yeah. And so that's how we did it. We don't need this extra work. We just need this right here. And that's kind of the fun of coding. Give me a second right here. I'm going to send out a quick announcement to my 320 students. Kayla, are you ready? Kayla will put a little chill music on right here. Are you ready for 320, Kayla? Truthfully, if you got this example, Kayla, which you did, you're like ahead of the game. And I hope coding does not look scary, because that's this is past like week 1. This is ahead of the game stuff. And that's what I like seeing. Let me grab the class playlist, send out a class in 30 minutes email. Or class in 28 minutes. Oh, no one's in the stream yet. Ah! Here we go. Class in 28 minutes. Link included to join. See everyone soon. Click here to join. Okay. And then let's put this here. Bonus. If you're early, usually start. Oh my gosh, can't type. Usually start the stream 5 through 10 minutes early. There we go. And we'll send this out. Make sure it's the right stream. Always check your links. Class in 28 minutes. We'll send another announcement out first day. I want people to join in. No, don't be nervous. Why do people in Discord keep saying bonus? I have no clue. I actually saw it earlier. Brianna, such a good question. Oh, I'm early. Nice. Let me go see here. Are people, why are people saying bonus? Okay, let's see. Are people just saying bonus a whole bunch? Let me say thanks. I have no idea why people keep saying. There's a few people who said bonus. That's too funny. I don't know. I have no clue. I'm glad people are liking the Discord. It's such a great way to practice and work together. Yeah, Brianna. Random people saying bonus, and there's been a lot of great help. Like, I got to keep up with the general chat. Me with lactose intolerant. Oh, yeah. No, it's I swear, getting older, your body hates milk more. Oat milk is great though. The maid milk, the milk. Feel like me up. The chat is just awesome on Discord. I'm majoring in supply chain, but I'm taking computer science 101 with no prior coding experience. It's gonna be a fun semester. Lee, yeah. I don't know how much I don't know how much knowledge I can bring you. And have a good day too, Brianna. I don't know how much knowledge I could bring. We'll hop over to the main screen right here. Probably end in just a little bit right here. I don't know how much knowledge I can help. Like if you have questions, but Lee, if you ever want to know anything or have questions about coding, let us know. Just jump in the chat. We did a really good review of like chapter 1 today. We talked a little bit about coding today, and that's what we're here to do. Taking some timestamps. And so good stuff. Talked about preview of coding. Got that announcement sent out. And don't fear coding. It's super helpful. Close to how much tabs I got open. I think we build things up sometimes. We say like it's gonna be so tough to code, and then we try it and we're like, it's kind of helpful. It's kind of helpful. Let's see right here. Pedal. Ooh. Let's see here. So many things. I'll be replying to emails a little bit. You're welcome, Lee. You got this. Lee, you understood everything here today. Great. So if you're ever stuck, reach out to your teachers. I bet you got a bunch of great teachers. If you're coding, error gives me anxiety. So here's what to do, Kayla. Anytime you have an error, anytime there's a problem with your code, reach out. We can't post like full code on Discord, like 100%, but we were posting code today. Like if you can ask for help to be like, hey, this function doesn't work, and just don't post like full like things. We'll kind of say like, oh, don't post too much or something if you're posting too much. But don't worry, like as long as you're not like, here's my full answer to a question. Don't do that. But we want people to teach each other. We want people to work together, which is the hardest thing to help create that community. But we're working on that to create that community where people can reach out and get help. And so yeah, I'm really excited because we have a bunch of great students who are already helping out. And no one's required to help out. And Kayla, like from what I've seen and what I know is I think you're going to get the material. I think you're going to help out. Like, and always like take care of family first, take care of yourself first. But I've seen you help so many students in other classes, and I know you've got the abilities, and I know you've got the heart. So I'm really, when you say you're taking 320, I was like, that's awesome. So I'm like, yeah, I love having students continue on and learn more analytics. And so I'm excited. Any other questions? What are people thinking? What thoughts do people have? Class will be here in 24 minutes. Might grab a little more food. What is this? The pedal. Elgato Stream Deck Discord. Oh. I need to look at that later. It'll be really interesting. Sounds like you're posting an office hours, Brian. Gaming. Aw. Yeah. I do that all the time too. I get in my own head about stuff. We can it's tough because like it's right that it's right to worry. It's a good thing because then it keeps us vigilant. But worry can also stifle us. Worry can push us. But the person who doesn't care doesn't do well. The person who cares too much also has problems, which that's definitely been me at times. Like with my work or what I'm doing in my life or concerns, like I start to build things up. It's finding that right balance. Because if you don't care, that's a problem. So you don't ever stop caring. Because as soon as you stop caring, you're just like, I don't care. Just apathetic. Whatever. Now, you got this. I'm super stoked. It's all my classes have a special place in my heart. Every single class I teach has a reason I love it. Probably one of the classes I miss the most is 207. I don't teach that class right now, but we do labs, and we would do like soda labs where we'd watch like videos on YouTube and drink soda and rate it, and then we'd come back in and we'd do analysis on the soda ratings. So I'm like, once I'm back in Knoxville, I'm gonna be like, I want to teach 207. I want to teach honors statistics again. Like, please let me teach honors statistics. Let me do just like whatever. Let's move heaven and earth. It's not the students. It's not like, oh, it's the honors students. It's that I get to do whatever I want. Not like, oh, I don't get to do whatever I want right now, but I love analytics. And to have the freedom to say, let's just learn to do analytics. That's what's so exciting. I'd bring my dad in every semester. Come on, if you can bring your family to a class and have them do a guest lecture, that's awesome. You get to like, hey, my dad's gonna come in, we're gonna eat breakfast together, we're gonna hang out, and then we're gonna do analytics. Like, he's gonna teach you guys how to do a catapult experiment. And so my dad was like, oh, these kids are so Dad, calm down, chill, man. He's like, your class is just like crazy, Brian. I'm like, yeah, it is, it's fun. He and I are very different, but that's what makes it so much fun, is like analytics applies to everybody. And I miss that. And every class has a special place in my heart. 320 is the start of people's journey. And that's why 320 has a special place in my heart. 201 lets me meet, like, start of your journey into business analytics. Like, that's where you get to see, like, here's the wide world of business analytics in 320. 201 has a special place in my heart because I get to meet people from, like, all over UT, whether it be nursing, kinesiology, supply chain. It's so wide-ranging what people are doing in 201. So I get to meet, like, so many different students who go on so many different career paths and tell me later, like, hey, I took your class and I'm doing this now, and that's so awesome. Then you get to the upper level classes like 474, 475, and that's where my students get like skills that I'm like, oh my gosh, you know things more than I do. Like, because everyone's going to start looking into things, investigating things, and learning things about the latest techniques. And I try to sharpen my skills as much as I can, but I have students who I'm like, how'd you learn this? Maybe some of the Kaylas have really impressed me and shown me things that make me, try to study up and learn more. So I get to really see what our students are capable of and push the limits in the upper level classes. And then they make me learn more. And that's what I'm here to do. It's not about trying to beat other people. It's trying to be the best you. It's like, growing your skills. So just remember that. I'll probably head off here in a moment, but every class has a special place in my heart. They're just all different. It's like which one of your children is your favorite? Like, well, this child's really good at baseball. This child's really good at ballet. This child's really good at piano. It's different things. I'm glad I didn't take the AP test in high school. Oh, Lee, thank you so much. Yeah, this is just chill class. This is what we do. No one needs to take the AP test in high school. We'll send out the word. Oh, Kayla. Yeah, it's like, imagine if someone said, what's your favorite child? You'd be like, there's things I love about all my children. They're all special in unique ways. And if one's not there, I miss them. And so right now I don't have my 207. I don't have my 207 class and I miss it. I'm like, oh, I really miss. Oh, it's too funny, Kayla. You're killing me in the chat. Oh, it's too funny. Oh, man. Well, maybe that's the one, Oh, man. Sometimes you feel that way. You go through different emotions. The hardest thing for me is, and so we're about to go into a night class, Kayla. And my concerns are, oh, is this the sneeze? Oh, Gail's about to call the quote right here from the Kahoot. Oh, man. I tell everyone we got all these memories. We've even been building memory. Man, I didn't see a question. My daughter sneezed in my mouth. Who said that? When did that occur? I mean, everyone just busted out laughing. It's what it is all about. I'm always thinking about, so when you think of your kids, Kayla, this is the way classes are to me. Do you ever think about like, here's this child, here's what I need to do to help them succeed? Like, you don't just think, here's what I do to help my children succeed. You think of like, this child, like, I need to do this to help them. Because there's not a one size fit all for each child. Each child's going to be a little bit different. And that's the way my classes are. Because we're about to go into a night class at 6:10 at night. 6:10 at night. And I'm like, I hope everyone's showing up. Because it's later in the evening on a Tuesday night. It's going to end in the 7 p.m.s. Yeah, they all need different things. So I'm going to be watching attendance. I'm going to be reviewing it this weekend. I'm going to make sure. And the number one thing I can tell anybody, for those who are listening, and I'm probably just talking to those who are already doing what they should be doing, but hashtag show up. Ask questions when you're stuck. We'll end on this note here. But if you're ever stuck, if you ever have questions, reach out as soon as possible. Discord, email, let me know. We're there for you. Because it's not about each class being someone we're trying to help. It's about each person. So we got this. Hope my daughter's at dude. Oh no. I bet she'll do great. Who said it to me? I'll tell you one quick story right here, Kayla. I had a teacher in middle school. I'm not gonna say her name. I'm not a big fan of her. She said to my friend John, she said, you should look at your friends. They're a reflection of you. And your friends, kind of say the person you are. John and I were basically each other's only friends. She was I was smart enough to know she's alluding to maybe that Brian guy you shouldn't be friends with. John and I have gone down very different paths in lives. I don't really talk to him anymore. I stopped talking to him about a decade ago, maybe even more. He's been in and out of prison. It's funny you mentioned prison. DUIs, drugs, you name it. I never got into any of that stuff. I was never doing that stuff. John was doing that stuff back then. The thing is John was like, I was like 6'2", 6'3", like at 13 years old. And the bigger guy, like wrestled and stuff. Not like a big guy, but like not a little guy. John was 5'1", 5'2". He also wrestled, but he wrestled in like the 90-pound weight group. So people often looked at John and were like, hey, this is a little kid, a little innocent little kid. He went down a very not so great path. So I think sometimes we never know what the future holds. And that person who made judgments about us, not that I'm like the best person in the world or whatever, but I knew the truth back then. I didn't go around telling people what John was doing, and people don't know who John is now. But I didn't go around telling people about, oh, John's doing this, John's doing that. He's, doing dust off. He's doing that kind of stuff. You name it, he was grabbing it to use it to get high. And it's tough. It's tough, thinking that people think that lowly of you. I had a teacher who thought I cheated in high school, and the teacher told me this work is beyond what you are capable of. I actually told that. I was talking to student conduct today and told them that story, how a teacher told me that one time. And that's why I'm very careful in my accusations against students, because a teacher told me this is work beyond what you are capable of. And that's why they thought I cheated, is because they were like, you can't, this is too good. You did this? I teach college now. That's why I was like, I'll show them one day I'll teach college. Yeah, I know, right, Kayla? Imagine someone saying that to you. This is beyond what you're capable of. So I think the hardest thing, and I'm not a parent, so I don't know. I've never gone through. You're doing a lot of work right here. So this is just Brian talking, non-parent Brian. I've only had the experience of being a child, so I can't speak from the parent side of this. But you never know what the future holds, and all you can do is give people opportunities for success. And that's the best avenue to take always, is say like, one day this stuff might stick. Just keep throwing it at the wall. It bounces off that wall. Nothing sticks. And then one day you throw something at the wall and it just sticks. You never know. So I know it's got to be tough, because I was probably that tough child for my parents. I mean, not that I thought I was. I wasn't doing drugs and stuff like that, but I was failing classes. I'd go to class. I'd be staying up all night playing MMORPGs, The Realm on Sierra. I'd go into class. I'd lay my head down. I'd sleep. I did that in college too. My parents were worried I wouldn't go to college. Then I got a really good SAT score. Yay, SAT. But you don't know. My dad was like, Brian, you need to look at jobs working at McDonald's. And I was like, I'm gonna go to college, Dad. He's like, oh, you might not go to college. You're welcome. See, Lee, all this serious talk at the end. But I think that's what I've learned in life is that like you never know. I've had a lot of crazy things happen to me in the last 7 days. I don't know how many people will hear this. I wonder if I can say it. There's one thing which I don't know if it's here, wait, Kayla. I wonder if I can say it. I don't know if I can say it on a public stream. Here, wait, Kayla, where are you? Are you on the Discord right now, Kayla? Dude, where are you? I gotta look over your conversations. Apparently. That's inside info. Yeah, go check it out over there. I don't know how public it is yet. I know, right? Craziness. And then and that happened on stream. Well, thank you so much. No, it's been a crazy anyways. Awesome. Well, and I'm so appreciative. That's awesome. So glad you got super great kids. Oh, that's awesome. And anyways, well, we'll head off here. I'm gonna grab a little bit of food. Yeah, it was probably just panic attack. Fun times. Well, everybody, it is that time. Thank you so much. We'll talk more statistics and analytics next class. With that, we'll be back. Kale, I'll be seeing you real soon in the stream, so stay tuned right here. Bye for now, everyone. Bye. Starting class soon.